has got a wonderful presentation, and it's on how to innovate. How to innovate, a method to detect necessities and develop products from them. Please, Louis, go ahead.
That's right. Okay. Are you seeing the presentation?
Now, yes, now I do.
Can you see the Okay. Well, first of all, this is my presentation for Model of Need Identification and Innovation. I'm Luis Alfonso Moreno, and I'm going to present the answer of how to innovate. First of all, I want to make a disclaimer here. This method is not mine. It's from my professor, my teacher, Salvador Gonzalez, who had also presented this topic, but we're trying to reach a wider audience. And I'm going to try to be a little bit quick about this because I have like 10 minutes, if I'm not wrong, to present a whole semester of mechatronic design. So first, this is the model. Basically, there are 9 steps, which most of them can be divided into micro steps. And they take us all the way from needs to design of manufacturing and assembly. First of all is understanding customer needs. Customer needs are very important because it's what our product wants to solve. So how do we collect this? How do we know these customer needs? The first one is, well, the first step is data recollection, which is very simple with traditional tools like interviews, surveys, or focus groups. Then that interpretation, here we must make group all the answers that the customer gave and group them together in sentences, simple sentences, but without losing detail, because this detail may tell us if the customer has a hidden need that he or she doesn't even know that he has. Now, all the negative sentences like I don't like this or I hate it when something like this happens must be made positive sentences, and when you have done this, all the sentences recollected must be made into product attributes with no should. The product must always solve the needs of the client. Once we have all the needs, we organize them into primary and secondary needs. Primary needs are general ones, and secondary needs are specific ones and are included in the primary. Then we weight all these secondary needs into importance with the importance of the client. For some people, dimensions may be something like portability may be more important than safety, and for others the other way around. And after that, an afterthought. Did we get all the information that we can from these interviews? Did we make them in the correct way? This is important because if we continue without making this afterthought, we may carry around some errors that will make more difficult the process later. Then definition of specifications. This is a little bit tricky. That's why this is empty, because there are no a specific method to define these specs. Basically, almost all the specs must be made by you must take in account that, for example, all specs have all products have dimensions, but for some people, it's going to be more important dimensions and weight. For example, those who like their products portable. So in order to know what specs are more important than others after you define them, we use the house of quality, which is a relation matrix that allows us to correlate customer needs and their weight with the technical specifications and comparative studies. Comparative studies allow us to know how competitors are satisfying the customer needs and where we want to stand. If we want to be ahead of them or behind them in some needs. Then correlations allow us to know how some specifications may affect others, and the technical matrix will allow us to say which of the technical specifications is more important than others. Then comes concept generation. Concept generation is divided into 4 steps: Plural clarification, external search, internal search, and systematic exploration. Plural clarification is basically make a function block diagram, which is a diagram of of all the functions that our product needs to work, from power supply to user input and materials required. Everything is in this function block. After that, you are going to make an external search and internal search. External search is looking up for some other options to make these functions work. For example, if I want to make, see if my product makes sound, and then I must look for options like some speakers or buzzers in order to know what option do I have. Internal search is embed my own sound producing device. And systematic exploration is putting all these options that I have into a matrix which in the rows have the functions and in the columns have the options. Then you will select each one of these options per function in order to create a path. This path, then you must make another one, repeat it until you have many paths. Options can be chosen twice, but the point here is making different concepts to have options. Once you have all these options, you must make a product architecture of each one, which is a module of how everything is going to assemble together. You may choose different types of architecture like integrated or modular one, but in the end, you are going to make basic geometrical figures of your pieces, of the pieces that make up your product, and assembling them together in order to know if the geometrical relations between them are possible. Then the selection of concept. Here is where we are going to know which of our selections, which of our concepts are better. For example, we have three tools to do this: the selection matrix, the sort matrix, and combined matrix. These matrices give a score to each of our concepts and will help us to know which is better and which we should choose. And I say should because we are not completed compromise to select one now. We can do it with after we do the proof of concept. Here we're going to present either our concepts or the chosen concept to the different market segments. By this I mean both our target market segment, and the markets that may be affected by our product. Then to do this survey, we need to make sure that we know the sample size. There are factors that affect the sample size, like the nature of the data, the point of the process that we do it, and the amount of impression that is going to be made. Then the survey format, which are the traditional formats of survey, and then the concept. We must communicate the concept. Here, it is very important to try to share the concept with the customer very well, because if it is not shared correctly, the people are going to answer it with thinking in a product that may not be our product. So you must use all the tools that you have, the format allows you to use. And you must communicate all the relevant information and script price, because this can fix you to a price and compromise the later development stages. And also it alters the answers. Then what you're going to try to measure is the concept that better satisfies the client if you are trying to choose concepts, and measure purchase intention. Purchase intention is basically used to measure how many sales we are going to have in the future, in the first year of a product. And this is made in the result interpretation. First of all, if you are selecting between many concepts, and the data doesn't favor one specifically, then you must choose either by cost or specifications, whatever you think is the best, or if there is a possibility, offer multiple versions. In demand estimation, you must take in account that that verbal expression, description of fidelity, and promotion level may affect the answers of the people, and thus our projections. There are mathematical equations to do these projections, but I'm not going to talk about them here in this presentation. Now, results afterthought. You must think if your survey was done right, because if not, then your projections may be either higher or lower than you may expect. After you have chosen a concept and made sure that is the correct one, then we go to prototyping, where we have different types of prototype, like analytical or physical, focused or integrated. These kinds of prototypes are defined after we define a purpose. You have to define a purpose, because you can't do a prototype just because you can. It costs money. So after that, you establish an approximation level, which are these ones, and an experimental sketch in which you are going to establish what are you going to measure, how are you going to measure it, and what are you going to do with these measures. Then acquisition and construction and test calendar. You are going to do various tests during the development of the project, but the three last ones are the alpha prototype, beta prototype, and pre-production prototype. Alpha is done in order to know if all the product as a whole is going to work. Beta are given to test clients in order to see if everything is going to work in the future and if there are no problems in there ones that are with the customer. And pre-production are the ones that are made before mass manufacturing in order to fine-tune some final details. And then is robust design, which is a cycle of improvement to meet some parameters with noise factors, vibrations, and other things. This is more engineering now, so I'm not going to be too deep in this. And design for manufacturing, which is the last step, in which there are some principles in order to know how to simplify our design, our manufacturing process, and assembly, and reduce costs. Finally, this is one of the references that you may use in order to answer some of the questions that may be left. It's not all the that you may not find all the answers here. So in case you need to know more, you can use our contact information to contact us and send us all the questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Boy, school has sure changed since I was there, that's for sure. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. Can you just keep that screen up for 1 second so people can write that down? If they want contacts and you didn't write it down, we're going to have this saved so people can watch this video later. Thank you very much. This is excellent.